crunch international friendly against the Desert Foxes of Algeria. Meanwhile, a high chief, Lionel Kim, walks in majestically.
Why would Blight decide to oppress us today?
You need to run, not walk. Run to the live feed and see the way High Chief Lionel Kim appears on the show this particular afternoon. Well, we all look raggedy in a way, and this man turns up like the Amaju Pinnick among us.
He's supposed to be the High Chief,
yes.
But he decided to be Osine Guavon.
No, not even a Guavon comes out like this. Yeah, well, I think maybe he decided to do
Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, he decided to do a Southgate.
Maybe Roy Keane.
No, Roy Keane. Southgate. Let's stay with Southgate. All right, so let's talk. Spain Campbell, what did last week like?
Yeah, interesting stuff. Blyden, you look good, by the way. I like the jacket. Interesting stuff, right? Talking about the Super Eagles team, the spirit in camp is actually very okay. But there's some sad story that Wilfred Ndidi has had an injury and he's set to leave the camp to head back to England to begin treating himself and all of that. So I think it's actually very sad that we're having these injury layoffs. We've yet to play the games, but we've seen players drop out from Ahmed Musa, so Samuel Chukwueze. Emmanuel Dennis was called up as a replacement for Blair, but has called out to enjoy. Same story for Wilfred Ndidi right now. So I think it's actually very, very sad. I hope all these players, recover fully before the resumption of club football, sincerely. But it's interesting because the players are bringing so much confidence headed into this game. It gets interesting as well because they're playing two games, one with the Algeria B team and the second game next week Tuesday against the Algeria A team. The B team game comes up later tomorrow and the A team game comes up next week Tuesday. So everybody is very, very optimistic, and then the players are ready to play, giving their very best. It's a new coach, a new dispensation, so everybody has an equal opportunity to impress, rather not oppress like Blyden, impress the coach Jose Pesero. And then we talked about the possession-based style of football, and the players are very excited with the way they've played so far. And the only problem would be how many chances they can create, how many goals they can score in this game. But I think it's interesting, right? Looking forward to the first game later tomorrow.
Right now, while we're excited, despite the misses, Ahmed Musa, we're talking Henry Onyekuru, Samuel Chukwueze and Emmanuel Dennis very lately. Now, this man, pose of injured, we know is at the heart of everything Jose Pesero will be looking to do going forward. Now, a couple of days ago on TV, you talked about the fact that this man represents leadership with regards to the next generation of Super Eagles stars. And you even opined that he should be handed the captain armband. So let's start the progression now. Well, he's disposed of injured, Wilfred Ndidi. It's got to be sad times for him as a person, and Jose Pesero won't be so excited about this.
Well, at this point, it's terrible for Wilfred Ndidi. Remember, in recent times, he's really been injured.
Yeah.
And terrible for Leicester City too, because at some point he's that anchor man. When he's not around, there's trouble, and he's back, and they're trying to get him to the feet and load him with a lot of games. And now he's not fit anymore. He's injured. Sad for Wilfred Ndidi. It's been coming. The injury has been coming back and forth, and disappointing from my standpoint. From a Super Eagles point of view, not a huge loss as far as I'm concerned, because this is a friendly game. It's a good opportunity for other players to step up into the show. Let Pesero see who can fit in, who can play. There've been huge concern, like the last qualifiers, when there's no Ndidi. It seemed to be that there's a huge gap in that midfield of the Super Eagles, and everyone was talking about Wilfred Ndidi. If only Wilfred Ndidi was here. This is a time to build without Wilfred Ndidi. Hopefully he'll return and get fit and play for the Super Eagles in the long run. But it's a time to play without Ndidi. And let the rest step up and do the metro without Ndidi.
Now, let's talk about replacements. Who walks in there as, who do you consider a perfect fit for Wilfred Ndidi's sake? Because if you talk about that holding midfield role, with the Super Eagles for now, who's got no rival, Ndidi would always be the first choice with the senior national team. So now Ndidi is not with the team owing to this injury. Who do you say walks in there, grabs the shirt, and puts up a good showing as well?
Yeah, Brett, we have a couple of names in that particular group. Talking of Frank Onyeka, Innocent Bonke, although he's not been called up to the national team in this particular friendly. But Brett, one thing we have to consider has to be, if you're building, you need to get the perfect result. Blyden has made mention of you should keep on building. If you're building, get the results. This is the Algerian side. The last time we won it was back in 2016. We still had a certain, what's his name now? Victor Moses was still in that particular lineup. So Bright, I think Nigerians, we have problem when it comes to the North African. We will have to get a perfect result in this particular game. So Innocent Bonke for me will be a perfect replacement for Wilfred Ndidi. But
no, he's not. He's not here.
Yeah, he's not. As you feel, he's one of those players that could have been called up to the national team as well. You are inviting Frank Onyeka, who is a bench warmer in the Premier League, and Innocent Bonke, who is starting games in the Ligue 1 for Lyon. He has played 7 games in the League 1 this particular season. So, Bright, I think Jose Pizarro should not steal to that particular angle.
Let me I want to talk about Rafael Onyedika, right?
That's exactly where I was headed now.
In mind with the system that Pizarro wants to play, the possession-based kind of play, I think Onyedika is the best fit because, look at the stats this season. He has 86% pass completion rate, and then, talk about the primary job of the defensive midfielder, which is tackling. That's 70% tackle success rate. That's a lot better than Frank Onyeka. Onyeka has played less games this season. He has 56% tackle success rate, and that's because he barely plays games for Brentford. So Rafael Onyedika has played in the Champions League twice this season, and he's a starter for Club Brugge in the Belgian Jupiler Pro League. So I think he comes in and sits into that Super Eagles midfield. I just hope that he makes the most of his time at the Super Eagles. Innocent Bonke is a fine player, but never made the most of his chance at the national team. So Onyedika is a fine player for me. I hope he puts up a performance.
Now, Blinded, let's look at this young star now. He's 21.
Yeah.
Rafael Onyedika Nwadike. You've seen him play. What do you make of his game?
Well, I wouldn't want to really base his performance in the Super Eagles from club perspective.
Yeah, but
I've seen a lot of players.
Now that's a starting point. Now we'll be looking at considering his game at club level, and then look at the way Jose Pizarro wants us to play. He wants to keep football, keep the ball on the ground. Wants to pass the ball around. So you need someone with good passing range, good technical ability. You think he fits in there?
Surely, I think so. Quality player. I've seen him. Quality player, good player. And the good thing is he's young. Because you look at Wilfred Ndidi, he's getting closer to the 30 mark. So you need these younger players to come in as early as possible. Let's talk about a transition as early as possible. By the time he gets to 23, he's already a mainstay in the Super Eagles and is performing quite well. But personally, it's always a different ballgame when I see a player in club and I see a player in the national team. That's why sometimes when you say a player is a bench warmer in a particular club side, and then you look at the national team, he plays quite well. It goes different ball games. It reminds me of Yakubu Yegbeni at the time. Fantastic player, the best striker we've had when it has to do with Nigerians in the English Premier League. But when it has to do with the Super Eagles, he's been quality, but has never built up to that level that he plays at the Premier League. I want to watch the player play for the Super Eagles, and it's a good opportunity for him. When I watch him once with the Super Eagles, I'll give my verdict.
Yeah, but again, before further conversation, meanwhile, in case you miss out or you don't know the players in camp, let's recap the names for you. 24, the camp is now full. Maruka Okoye, we're talking William Trusicum, Kenneth Omero, Chirizia Waziem was the first to arrive camp actually. Ola Aina, Calvin Bassi, Zaidu Sinusi, Kevin Akpaguma, Valentino's on Wafo, Wilfred Ndidi now out. Frank Onyeka is there alongside Alexander Iwobi, Rafael Onyedika, Moses Simon, Taiwo Wonei. We're talking Chirai Juke, Cyril Dessus, Terry Murphy, Ademele Lukman. We're talking Adeba Ade, Savior, Kelechi Iheanacho, Francis Uzoho. I'm forgetting the NPFL left back, champion left back. We're talking Ebube Duru. Keep the ball on the ground, play the ball, knock it around a little bit, and Blyden talked to him in the morning. He said, his Portuguese, that's how they want to play. But the next kind of question would be, have we got the players readily available, to embrace this pattern? And is it a pattern you think they can get a run with and can marry within the shortest possible distance when you also consider another key ingredient we talked about in the morning, which is winning? In all of this, play well, keep possession. At the end of it, you want all of this to arrive at a win, right? Yeah. Now, but have we got the players, Mari? First up, and looking at their individual abilities, have we got players with that technical ability to hold on to the ball, make little enforced errors, using tennis terms now?
Well, yes, we have, right? I think I can confidently say yes, because you look from the goalkeeping department, Maduka Okoye would be
Maduka is comfortable with the ball?
Yes, very comfortable with the ball, right?
Maduka is?
Yes, right, he is. Very comfortable with the ball, right?
Better than Uzoho.
No. Let's look at something now. When we say he's comfortable on the ball, we're not talking in comparison with any other. Yeah, because now let's look at something. So we're not. It's not a situation where we're choosing between the devil and the deep blue sea. That's not what we want to do now. No, I'm just asking very cleanly as a player, as a goalkeeper, is he comfortable on the ball?
Right.
He got that good passing range.
He is. He's got good passing
Not in
range.
comparison with who's always terrible at playing.
Both short range
I like
and
the
long.
fact that it's coming from you.
No.
Uzo is bad with passing, basically.
We've seen him play overtime.
overtime.
Now, we're not here to patronize anybody or
Yes.
to make anyone look bad.
Okay.
But it's a result of what we've seen over time. Yes.
I'm still happy
There's-
that it's
there's-
coming from you anyway.
There's room for improvement. They can improve on those pitfalls in their game, but we've seen over time. Uzoho has shown himself, clearly distinguished himself as terrible playing the ball with his leg. Shown that.
Right, Maduka, both short range and long reach passing, clearly is a lot better. He's a fine player. Can hold on to the ball.
Don't say it's a lot better.
No,
don't say
he's comfortable on the ball. Let's stick
Look
at
at
comfortable on the ball.
it. Look at it. How do you get to talk about this
Now, is he-
without
Without
looking at
comparing two goalkeepers.
without looking at the materials you've got?
Yeah.
Now, but let's look at something. Now, if we say Edison Moraes is comfortable on the ball, yeah, we're comparing him with not Alisson Becker. We're talking about Edison Moraes being comfortable on the ball is one of the best in the world, alongside Manuel Neuer. That's like number one. If you talk about ball playing goalkeepers, they come out top three. No matter the parameter. Now that's what I'm looking at. Global standards, not Nigeria standard. Because if you say Nigeria standard and then you put him side by side with Uzoho, that's not a competition.
Right.
He's better, a country mile ahead of Uzoho in terms of playing. But let's talk about global standard now. If you talk of goalkeeping players or goalkeeper players, let me use that word now, Solorex. Yeah. You mentioned names. Can you mention 20 and then sneak in Uzoho or not Uzoho. Not Uzoho. Sneak in Maduka Okoye, maybe top 30.
Never ever.
Brent, use Africa.
Right from the start, Maduka Okoye averaged 28 passes per match with the completion ratio of 48%. He has 48% passes accuracy. That clearly shows he's not even average or even he's below average.
How many passes is expected for a goalkeeper? How many passes is expected? You don't expect to make 85 passes in a game, right? You should be just comfortable on the
The
ball.
very fact that he makes up to that.
Yeah, it's a number.
20-something
How many does
shoes.
De Gea? How many does De Gea make for United?
Let me check it out.
You're talking about
Yeah.
No, but
how many
does De Gea make for Manchester
Wait.
United?
How many does the big striker in Man City make in a match?
no, but
Solorex.
no, but
A goalkeeper averaging 30 passes. That's a lot. That's a
How
lot.
many did Lukaku make?
No, but let's look at this. No, let's look at the system, the way they play. You have a player like Edward Mendy. He would average 70 in a game because of the way Chelsea play.
70?
Now let's look at maybe I'm being being exaggerative.
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, you
Now,
are, right?
I'm being exaggerative, but let's look at something. I'm talking about the system, how they play. Now, Blyden, we've sat here time and time again under Thomas Tuchel and complained about the passing.
Yeah, the passing
how
to
many
the balls to the goalkeeper.
passes Thiago Silva and Khalidou Koulibaly get to exchange between themselves. So in that kind of setup, you'd have Edward Mendy make at least 40 passes, an average, 40, 50, depending on the kind of game. Now, so if we have Uzoho playing that kind of system,
Okoye.
if you have Okoye playing that kind of system, is that a parameter to say, well, yeah, he's comfortable on the ball? Because we'll run under pressure and then he's there. That's how we play.
Well, let me say this, Bright. I understand where you're going to.
Yeah.
Being critical. But let me say this. When you look at Okoye, it's hard to really compare Okoye with the very best. Because a lot of people have not watched him at a club level playing, especially when he was at Netherlands. And now he's at a championship. We've not seen him in the Premier League at the biggest stage you could think of. But it doesn't take anything about the decency of his game and the ability to pass the ball. Based on what I've seen so far, he's a decent passer of the ball, but not necessarily in the class of Manuel Neuer you could think of, and not necessarily in the class. These are more confident goalkeepers we've seen over time, and I wouldn't even want to put the likes of Alisson Becker inside because, come on, he also makes a lot of mistakes.
Absolutely.
But come on, the finest I have seen, because when I hear everybody talk about Noah, talk about this guy, did you ever watch Vincent Enyama?
Yeah, I did.
That was the best I had seen when it has to do with passing the ball, initiating the attack. Vincent Enyama beats everybody I have seen. And that he was from Nigeria and he's still from Nigeria.
Sadly, we didn't see much of him in European football. The UEFA Champions League and all.
Well, how do you say this?
Yeah, he did.
There was a time he took Leo.
Undoubtedly. Now,
Yeah.
let's leave goalkeeper. Let's move on. Let's talk about the outfield players. William Trustekong, he's a keeper of the side. Kenneth Romero, that's where you want to start building play from, Solorex?
Brett, is very possible. The fans have seen Kenneth Romero and William Trustekong, at the heart of that particular defense. They've been, they've been present, giving the fans, what we mean by, understanding, and also giving them confidence anytime they are being introduced on the pitch to get the perfect result for them. But Brett, I think, like Marit said, we have the players. Talking of Alex Iwobi, Brett, we can start the ball from the defense to the midfielders as well, because we have what it takes. It's just a new coach with a new philosophy. We can get it right. So the worst thing will be not starting it. Now the manager is that we want to start it, and the best way we can get this has to be playing more friendly games, because they're not going to start keeping possession in serious games. You want to get the result, so the best thing has to be having more friendly games. And how many friendly games do you have in this short period of time to learn that particular one before the next competitive game come up? So Bright, if we can get more friendly, then we are sure of getting that particular one poco a poco.
But this is it. We also have some quality defenders to add up. Personally, I always have troubles when you have two quality playing defenders. It means you might just, before you know it, see the likes of Maguire and Lindelof. It could be a problem, yeah. And chasing the same balls at the same time and causing troubles at the defense. But if you have Ekong isn't that absolute when it has to do with playing the ball and passing around. But he does averagely. Talking about Omeru, quite difficult to say he's a quality defender in terms of passing, but he will defend. But if you add Calvin Bassey there, Calvin, when it has to do with playing the ball, absolutely fantastic.
Right, two players come to mind, right? Passing the ball, centre backs. Kevin Akpoguma, he averages 76 passes per game as a defender. The second on that list is Calvin Bassey, averaging 72 passes per game. Trustekong averages 56 passes per game. Omero averages 45 passes per game. So if you want to pass the ball, it has to be Calvin Bassey and Kevin Akpoguma at the heart of that defense. Secondly, you talked about, was it Blind that talked about, two defenders going for the ball?
Yeah.
I think Kevin Akpoguma is one defender that likes to play as a sweeper. He sits deep like a Thiago Silva. He just stays there. And then Calvin Bassey would be the one doing the dirty job, the marking, the rushing, the hustling. And I think that would be the perfect centre-back fit for Pesero if he wants to play possession-based football.
Okay. Brett, I won't play Calvin Bassey, at the heart of the defense. I'll play him from the left back. Looking at Nigeria, we've been struggling for the past years, creating chances from the back as well. I know we've been doing enough, but not all that compared to other national teams as well. So Calvin Bassey from the back, you could recall the last friendly we played against Ecuador, where he assisted Sierra Deserts to get that particular goal. So if you can be creating, from the likes of Moses Simon, then Calvin Bassey from the left, and maybe Alex will be from the midfield as well. So that will open up chances for our strikers to get more goals in the game as well. So Calvin Bassey should stick to the left flank job and be assisting the games as well.
But remember, you still have a certain, what's the name?
Yeah, Zeru
Sanusi. And you have Jamil Collins.
Jamil Collins is out.
He's injured, but in the long run, he'll be around.
It's a good option as well. Moreover, Calvin Bassey has played as a centre-back all through the season at Ajax.
Well, that's at club level.
He's doing very well. So
why change the position?
No,
if he's playing quite well at that position at a top-flight club like Ajax, why bring him to the Super Eagles?
He was signed to replace Butcher, and he's butchering people.
The idea has to be, having options. When Moses Simon is being marked out of the game, where do we create from?
We have many options.
All right, now,
when Alexi will be not in the game.
Now, the conversation, in case you're coming close, basically it's about Jose Pizarro. Well, he said he wants Super Eagles to keep the ball, play it on the ground, not just that kick and follow thing. Just kick and run. We saw a lot of times on the Ghana Raw. He wants to keep the ball, so possession-based football. And then the conversation now is looking at the kind of players we have in the national team, those invited. Do you think we've got players who that comfortable on the ball and then can translate Jose Pizarro's playing philosophy to success on the pitch of play? And that's why you're having some of our guys here throwing names up. We've talked about Maduka Okoye, Franz Zoho, and how terribly he's passing, and we're hoping that this also helps him to improve. I'm sure maybe it's not something that he's been asked to do before, but now a demand will be made of him by this coach. And it could ultimately determine his future with the Super Eagles of Nigeria as far as or so long as Jose Pizarro remains the head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Let's get to talking, guys, on 090-222-3101-087-624-8565. Talk about more stories in a bit. Welcome, football fan. Your name, your location.
Yeah, good afternoon, Arizona and Southern X. Young man, Dragon, let me say that I'm so much happy at least for the friendly match that is to come. It's just a match that we will look out for because though the Nigeria is not qualifying for the World Cup, but I think the great players of the Super Eagles, some of them have planning their trip now in their country, they have not said. So let the wisdom maybe that is back. I know that it's a good midfielder. So let the coach do his best for him to put out the best and get something from the match. That's my thing. Thank you, Papa.
Thank you very much, Victor. Well, we just talked about Didi, and he's put up injured, so he's left camp. He's flying back to London. So he won't be a part of that friendly against the Desert Foxes of Algeria. 090-222-3101. Let's also get talking on Facebook. We'll have a post published there for you on the sports page. Welcome, football fan. Name and location.
That's so bright and sport crew.
Yeah, thank you. Top Gunner for joining.
Brett, to start with, let me say happy birthday to Ronaldo de Lima on his 14th birthday. I guess he scored 62 national goals and the highest. Before CR7 Brett, there is Ronaldo de Lima. Nigeria and Algeria match, call it game of two losers. I mean, the team that didn't qualify for World Cup. Now the two teams want to better their lot. They are also trying to boost their FIFA ranking, which to me is less important than qualifying World Cup. Algeria, though, is the current Arab champions, while Super Eagles have been found wanting. But first season ought to be the gold tender. He can organize his back four, give instruction, distribute ball, never panic. I score him 60 over 100. What Maruka is 40 over 100. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining. Well, you're dragging us to that conversation. It's been trending on social media meanwhile. You know, talking about the best goalkeeping options. It's back again. International, Peter Rufai is saying the Super Eagles goalkeeping department deserves urgent attention. His words, not mine. We'll talk about that statement to the bit. 090-222-3101-027-624-565. In case you're just coming close, you really says this is where the football fans converge every weekday, Mondays through Fridays, 3 till it's 4. You want to join us? That's the number will be 090-222-31011. You can also join us via Facebook on the verified Facebook page, Planet Radio 11.1 FM. We're streaming live. You can also join us on the Planet 11 FM Sport page. Drop a comments there, and Mary will track that for us every step of the way. Like, I thought we had this thing sorted out. Former international, one of the finest in that particular position for the Super Eagles, we're talking Peter Rufai, is now saying that's a position that needs urgent attention.
Well, I don't know what they mean by urgent attention, but when I look at the Super Eagles side, I know we have a number one, and the person is Okoye. For me, basically, yes, we could have improved goalkeepers, better goalkeepers. If you're looking at the quality of Vincent Anyama, we've not had it. And probably the one that was after Anyama had that leukemia problem. What's the name now? I forgot his name. Carly Kamen, so was quite good, but didn't have a long spell with the Super Eagles side. But Okoye, quite young, came into the ranks as a very young lad. Still remember the first game he played for the Super Eagles, or that key game against Brazil in that friendly that ended 1-1. Made some quality saves, and over time, have not really seen the bad Okoye has done, exception of the game against Tunisia, which he's been crucified for. I say it all the time, I've watched matches. Any keeper could have let that in. And almost exactly the same goal. Uzoho, in the qualifiers for the World Cup against Ghana, conceded similar goal. Because you watch it, the defenders were blocking his view. It could be quite difficult, but apart from that, he had been okay for the national team. Maybe not entirely excellent because he's not really been exposed. But when it has to do with performance, I can't really question Okoye, apart from that little mistake one could say. So why not give him a chance? Everyone is talking about it. He's not a bad goalkeeper. He's playing for Watford in the Championship. Not a good side to play.
Right.
Not a bad side to play, rather.
No, maybe not a good side too.
Right there in the Championship, and then compared to where he was last season, I think they're a better side than that. I think, you know, for
And compared to some goalkeepers at Cyprus.
yeah.
How about that better side is found game time pretty limited.
Well, he's going to play, right? That man is gradually going to become, you know, an integral part of that Watford team. I still have hopes, right?
And he will make Nigeria great
for
again.
the national team, I think we should grow with Maduka Okoye. You know, one, he's young. You know, he has a lot to learn, and then he's open to training and learning. So I think, you know, we shouldn't, you know, expect an Engima performance from him yet.
Let's say we make him number one because, you know, Jose Pizarro mainly say that's one area he needs to settle. So we haven't got a proper identified number one, you know. Well, the number one we have is from General Rosarin. Jose Pizarro hasn't quite made a statement on who is his number one. Maybe the game against Algeria gives us a sneak peek into, you know, who would be number one under his reign going forward. But would it be wise to hand Maduka Okoye that number one spot now? Many think he was young. You know, you hand him that number one spot now, it gets into his head, complacency gets in, so it could be dangerous. Spell doom for the national team going forward.
Right, there's still room for competition. You know, since Pizarro came in, you know, the only player that have been starting in the goalpost for him has to be, you know, Francis Uzo in the last 3 friendly games. And for me, Uzo has been giving out his best, you know, in that particular game. But this is how I see it. It depends on who the manager is meeting in the team. You know, for example, if the manager comes and meets the number one injured, he has to fall back to the number two or gets, you know, a perfect player for him if he feels, you know, going to the market to get another player or calling up another player to replace that particular one. But Uzo for me is a fantastic guy, right? We are all talking of mistake. He only made that mistake. Is it at the World Cup? Yeah, at the World Cup, everyone slammed in. Maduka made the same mistake. So, Brett,
Qualifiers.
Okay, the qualifiers. Brett, everyone make mistakes. It's about you know, how you can bounce back from your mistake and, you know, get to how you normally be. But Brett, I think Uzo has to be the perfect man under Pizarro.
Welcome, football fan. Name and location.
Hello, Brett.
Yeah, Top Gunner back again.
Brett, in Nigeria match, I guess Barnes and Iwobi will be at the center seat. Then, Brett, I say kudos to Mama Iwobi. He's my candidate for EPA Player of the Month. He merited it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Top Gunner, for joining. We appreciate you a great deal. We're going to quickly after this batch of calls and return with Facebook messages and a lot more from the international stage. Welcome, football fan. Name and location.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Henry, calling from you.
Welcome, Henry. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, I just love the whole show today. So many things to talk about, but let me just talk about one or two. Okoye and Uzo have, to me, no difference. No difference. They are at par, actually. Both make sense. You say this one passes more than this one. I think it's because of the system they play. No difference, personally. As for the defense, pairing Calvin Bassey and Akpoguma, I won't go for it. Both of them, no height. None of them, I don't think any of them has that imposing aerial presence. And if you're playing to center backs that height, I don't think it works. Simply because they both play out of the back. Even the teams that did this whole playing out of the back thing, teams like Barca, they had one ball playing defender and one spine in Puyol and Gerard Piqué. So, and moreover, what was the other one? Okay, about Calvin Bassey playing at left back. No, I want him to play at centre back, but playing with someone that is a bit more physical. You know, after all, Zaidu Sanusi is not a bad left back at any rate. He's superb going forward and even defending. He's there, so taking Calvin Bassey to that place and keeping Zaidu on the bench. Come on. I don't think it will work. Thanks for having me.
Right, thank you very much, Henry, for joining. Well, Calvin Bassey is not as maybe short as he looks on TV.
Exactly.
Man is 1.85. So,
and then she was talking about Kevin Akpoguma not being tall. Kevin Akpoguma is taller than William Chosekong. Kevin is 1.92 centimeters.
Just
Ekong
imagine.
is 1.91. So he's tall, really tall, an imposing presence.
Ekong looks short.
Yeah, Ekong looks short, but that's quite some height.
Yeah, Ekong is actually very tall.
Mari, is he taller than you?
I haven't taken my height in a long time.
Welcome, football fan. Never location.
Good evening, sports presenters.
Thank you for joining us.
All
right.
Calling from again. Yes, I want to give my own point of view in between Uzo and Maduka Okoye. You guys are praising Maduka Okoye too much. The only thing I can take out of him is that he's young. But to pick a better shot stopper between the two of them, I'll go for Uzo. That's my own point of view, and I'm not in support of taking Calvin Bassey to the left back position because it won't work. You need to develop as a centre back both in club and in country so that he can take his career to a higher level. Thank you. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much. Well, put it in proper perspective now. Van Dijk is 1.93. So that means he's just 0.02 meters taller than Troost-Ekong. The guy is tall.
You can imagine that.
Yeah,
The guy is really tall.
And it looks pretty short.
Yeah, he doesn't look tall. Depends on the kind of TV you're watching from, though. Well, this is breaks here very quickly. I'll return on the other side with more football stories. So right here it is.
The COVID-19 vaccine and stopped everyone in his house from being vaccinated. Before you can say Jack Robinson, there was a COVID-19 outbreak in the area. Lucky and 2 members of his family got infected. Lucky was sick and couldn't do his business for months. Now, even food to chop no day. His nephew got very sick. It did not end well at all.
We did all we could, but he didn't make it.
But Smart's case did different. Everybody in his family was vaccinated. Only one person got infected and his symptoms were minor. Who would you rather be, Smart or Lucky?
Protect yourself, family, friends, and community from COVID-19. Get vaccinated sharply.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Nothing unites the world like football. Join the football community here on Planet 101 FM Uyo. Passion, pride, platform. All that and more on Football Fans Planet.
Joining, well, this is a football fans attack on this frequency every weekday, Mondays through Fridays, 3 till it's 4 p.m. Here we look at the biggest, the trending, and of course, what's talking about from the world of football, from Nigeria, Africa, and of course, across the Atlantic. This afternoon, it's no difference. Now, let's stay further home and talk about the chief coach of Nigeria's under-17 women's national team, the Flamingos, who talking Bankole Oluwakere, expressing optimism that his team will do well. The FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup set a hold between October 11th and 30th in India. Now, he's been in camp in Abuja since August 30th and said the Flamingos have trained to the point of pain and are almost ready to go. Well, they're in Group B, which also has Germany, Chile, and New Zealand. And Blyden, that reminds me of the saying, no pain, no gain.
Well, sometimes the pain can be too much. I wouldn't bring any gain.
Severe pains.
Let me say this. The group for me, in particular with Chile, Germany, New Zealand, doesn't look, I listened to the coach said it's a tough group, doesn't look like a tough group. There's age grade football under 17. I like the fact that it's being held or will be hosted by India. Exceptional tournament it will be for me for the lads, but good opportunity for the lads to come out and play and give a huge performance. But when it has to do with training, I remember one thing that happened while I was attempting to be a pro. There are times you're going to train so hard and get so physical that you begin to feel like a robot. You can't even turn, you can be flexible. And sometimes excessive fitness can be dangerous in tournaments, while it is necessary to be fit. But I just hope it doesn't get over the line, because if they get overly fit, it could be a problem in games.
Now, this is the part that concerned me in that interview he granted, Mari. When asked about how much he knows about his group opponents, he said, and I quote, "I don't know much, but the little we know, we're working on. I hope to get clips of some of their qualifying matches to prepare for every game. We shall respect all our opponents, but we shall not fear them." Now, that's some technical part of our game we don't pay so much attention to.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the Europeans and national teams of developed climes is what stands them out. Knowing your opponents, how they play, so you can, beyond developing a system that works well for you, it could help you plan, have an alternative plan. Let's say plan B. So if that plan A doesn't work, you could switch on plan B. How detrimental has this factor been for our football over time? Little or no knowledge about our opponents. And that's another thing we're not talking about at CAF competitions. We always just talk about our league and the quality, the substandard against North African teams, but they're very technical because you look at the coaches, everything. There's a video assessment room. There's someone in charge of that. So they study the opponent and provide a coach with a technical knowledge as to how they play, the danger men, so you know how to neutralize them, and you factor all of that in while preparing for the game.
Right, first off, we haven't invested enough into, that aspect of our game. That's basically why we're here. We're going very far to CAF competitions, right? In MPFL games, at the end of games, you go to press conferences and hear coaches say, well, I realized that the team played this and this. I have to tell my boys to do this and this. This is something you have done before the game. You have actually studied the system your opponent plays and then try sort of a strategy that works, for them and tries to push them at bay. But you see coaches come out at the end of games and say, well, I was surprised that they played like this. That was why I told my boys the second half to play like this. This kind of thing. So I think that's a conversation that we should be having, because over time, the only video person we have is for the Super Eagles team. This overrated, I was appointed a couple of months back. We don't have for the cadres. We don't have for the. I don't think we have for the Falcons. I don't think we have for the on the 17 men, on 20 men. Talk more of the ladies. So I think it's a problem. And then we'll go to games like this without understanding what the opponent is bringing, the qualities of our opponents, and then the X factors in those teams, and that's a problem. At the end of the day, we end up losing games, and then we say, oh well, we're just the worst team, we're not the better team, and all of that. But things like this could have been set up, before those games. So you decide to, know who you're holding out, who you're marking out, and who you're defending against. So I think that's a sad thing, and it's been on for a while. And then maybe they've gotten successes over time without doing these things. So I don't think they've seen a need to get it yet.
No, we need to start doing that. Welcome, football fan. Name and location. Good to have you join us.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Comrade. I'm calling from you.
Welcome, comrade.
I think when we mentioned Maroka Okoye, to me, Maroka Okoye to Super Eagles is the same thing as my fight to Man United. I think Maroka Okoye should be a gatekeeper because he's the one that made Nigeria not to participate in the World Cup. So I don't want to hear that name. But this is standing for Super Eagles 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. We should be a little bit forgiving. It's the same to Daniel Akpeyi. Don't ever want to see him. People have said that about Uzoho as well. So it doesn't mean someone comes in, makes one mistake, and then he never want to see the person again. Come on, let's be human. Welcome, football fan. Name and location.
Good afternoon, Brad James.
Yeah, agent.
Yeah, Brad James, nice to hear your voice again.
My brother, good to hear you. Thanks for joining us.
Now?
I'm good, my brother. Well done.
Wow, I've been trying to reach you guys from the city of Douala last 3 weeks. I could not.
Wow.
Nice to be back, bro.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Brad James, I want to talk about goalkeeping department in Super Eagles. I think Nigeria will not get it right until they do it right. Why am I saying so? Brad, if you look at the quality of goalkeepers that we have in Nigerian Professional Football League, you'll notice that we have a lot of guys that will be able to challenge Maduka Okoye
Francis. Oh, if you look at Rivers United, I know they are in continental preparation, might not get distracted. So Chima is better. He's a better goalkeeper. And you have that guy from Raymond Stars, who is also good. Ojo Oloreleke is also a good goalkeeper. Why are you bringing a secondary school boy, an amateur goalkeeper who has been on the bench for a very long time with Watford United, Watford United FC of England, to come and mount in a goal post of more than 250 million supporters? So, Bright, I think it's very, very bad. They would have given those guys from Nigerian League, the home-based players like Sochima and the rest, a chance. If they have given Sochima a chance that they are giving to Maduka Okoye, they will be a very good goalkeeper to Super Eagles. Thank you for having me, Bright.
Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate you. Blyden,
Yeah.
you want to say something?
This is what I want to say. I think it's not really proper when people look at Maduka Okoye. We begin to talk about his performance at Watford. Last season, go to Rotterdam. See the performance at Rotterdam. Top-notch performance. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is for us to be able to give these other goalkeepers opportunity against the big lad, because it's easy when you're watching the Nigerian Premier League and you say, oh, he's such a quality goalkeeper. I'm not saying they're not quality goalkeepers, but when you bring them to the big stage, it's a different ball game. It requires a lot of experience. You're playing against the very best in the continent. So for me, this is what I asked for, and this is what I'm looking up for, which I've always talked about. Let's create some other competitions. I used to talk about the LG Cup I used to see in those days, where you have players that are not given opportunity in the biggest of games. They get this opportunity, so you get to know. You don't just gamble. You get to know who is good and who is not good enough. And for me, that's what NFF should tilt to.
All right, Mari, take us to Facebook. Let's look at the comments from there very quickly, so at least we can cover grounds.
All right, so right, so from the sports page, the comments are repeating. Misaro Jared says, good afternoon, sports crew. Let's take from Kisley Umar first of all before we get to Misaro. Kisley Umar says, I was really looking forward to seeing Ndidi at the middle of the park. Bright, why was Super Eagles first team be playing against the B team of Algeria? Otubebon Morin says, I wish Super Eagles would win against Desert Foxes. Joseph Sabero says, to see Super Eagles in camp is always a delight. To learn the friendly is a double header. I hope we win both. Peterson Dixon says, Bright, I love the way you talk sports. Keep it up. For now, I don't think Nigeria has the type of players, apart from Iwobi, that can keep the ball, but I believe with time they'll master it. Xavier Achibong says, it's really sad that Wilfred Ndidi has left Super Eagles squad due to an injury. I wish him a quick recovery. I also want to congratulate Tierney and the Scottish national team for their victory yesterday, and to all the Arsenal players, an injury-free and successful international break. Then Misao Jared, finally, for now, says students, the oldest player among them, deserve to wear the captain's armband. Wish them well. They'd better take every game serious.
Yeah, Brett from the live feed, Ubon Umar says, good afternoon, crew. Good afternoon, sports crew. For Nigeria to play friendly against Algeria is not a big deal at all. Their mates are preparing for the World Cup that is coming in November. I can't sit and watch that kind of match. Then Amy Boy coming say, good afternoon, guys. I just want to congratulate Ronaldo for his top scorer award for his national team, and for Todd Boehly, he should appoint Florentino Perez as his sporting director. Also, Francis Namandi said, watching live from Enugu, said, good afternoon, Bright James and all the sports gladiators. I'm looking forward to the friendly game between Nigeria versus Algeria. Hopefully, believe Nigeria will triumph.
All right, now, we'll take a lot more from the Facebook page, as if we have more. But now, let's across the Atlantic and look at other stories away from Nigeria. The UEFA Nations League qualifiers is up and running. Well, started last night, actually, where Scotland got some sort of revenge. Well, they would have wanted that 4 months ago when it mattered most in the World Cup qualifiers. But this time around, it was just in the UEFA Nations League qualifiers. They beat Ukraine by 3-0. Cracking fixtures. Let's look at the games of 49 in very fine details. Now, Croatia taking Denmark, France taking Austria. Poland taking Netherlands. Elsewhere, Lithuania taking Faroe Island, Turkey taking Luxembourg. Kazakhstan and Belarus, well, it's half-time. It's 1-1 as we speak. Slovakia taking Azerbaijan. Liechtenstein as well. Latvia taking Moldova, while Liechtenstein taking Andorra. We talk about France, Austria, Solar but let's start with team news. We hear that Captain Hugo Lloris has had to pull out through injury along with Adrian Rabiot Theo Hernandez and Boubacar Kamara. Lucas Digne was brought in but has subsequently withdrew as he picked up an ankle injury. Regular French squad members such as Golo Kante, Kingsley Coman are also injured, giving the opportunity for all the inexperienced players to come in and take a claim to the French team ahead of the World Cup in Qatar for the visitors. So Ralph Rangnick will be without Conrad Lima for their game against the French, as well as Valentino Lazaro. Sasa Kalajic, who suffered an ACL on his debut for Wolves earlier in the month as well, is ruled out. Wow, it's a long list. Karim Benzema, Kingsley Coman, Golo Kante, Boubacar Kamara, Lucas Digne, Aden Rabiot, Hugo Lloris, or Didier Deschamps has got his work cut out here.
Absolutely, Brent. Looking at the group, France, they top from bottom. So you can say bottom they are in that particular game. So, and they've conceded just 5 goals, scored just 3 goals, Bright. So they ought to, pick up their chances. The likes of Karim, what's his name now? Christopher Nkunku is still in the mix, and not forgetting Kylian Mbappe, Bright. And
William Saliba, yeah.
But they need to be very careful. On the other hand, Ralph Rangnick, we saw the job he did at Manchester United, he was brought in as a pressing hero, so he might want to hurt, the world champions as well.
Stop it.
Right, France needs to wake up and get the perfect result.
Welcome, football fan. Name and location.
The match between Croatia and Denmark, people, my friends, it should be a big cracker. Top of the big game. A match that is not to be watched. They have players that are making waves all over Europe. A match that they cannot decide who to win. I get an N0-0. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate you a great deal. Mari, please just forward me the videos from this morning, please. That's very important. It's pressing. Thank you for joining Football Fan.
Which of this man has been...
No. Sorry, it's not what you think. No, it's not.
It's what I think.
No. It's off
this man is dragging my...
No, it's off the show this morning.
Mari.
All right, now let's talk Croatia. Denmark looks like an evenly matched game, and it's one to savor later tonight. Croatia, Denmark. Now we'll talk about team news and your thoughts, blinded about it in a bit. Welcome, Football Fan. Name and location.
Good afternoon, guys.
Pastor, good to have you join us.
Yeah, Pastor, I'm calling from Sudan. Yeah, I want to talk about the goalkeeping area section of the season. The method that the goalkeeper, Maduka Okoye, made a mistake in one match should not bring total condemnation to his capability to keep at the stakes for Nigeria. The two keepers are good, but I am thinking that Maduka Okoye of late is better than his one to rank him is better than Uzoho. So I want to see Maduka Okoye being encouraged to continue to start in goal for the Super Eagles. It's going to be risky taking Calvin Bassey to the central defense. He has just started out from the central defense from his club Ajax. And if you look at it, the second goal, the winning goal that Ajax considered against Liverpool was down to the poor marksmanship of Calvin Bassey in the central defense. So it is better for us to allow him to continue to play in the left back where he used to in the Super Eagles and allow him time to be able to come in much later in the in the central back with time. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. Croatia, Denmark, we here now following Simi Vizako's international retirement. Josip Juranovic will continue his record in the Nations League with Bona Sosa set to start at left back. Looks like a good, pretty football game.
Also looks like a draw. Tough game it will be. Croatia, quality side. You wouldn't want to mention the names. We already know the names there. And Denmark, we've seen Denmark perform in recent times. Very stubborn side. They know how to play football. I look at it, quality game it will be.
It's a bit draw, so I'm already doing business to see what I can.
Right, happy birthday to Bob Paul.
Oh,
yeah,
Bob,
today's Bob's birthday. So
Bob.
Happy birthday, big man Bob.
Yeah, well,
Man is in his synodom.
wow. Bob,
Very far away.
Bob, get to you. Get to you, and then we can have a conversation.
Mary, is it only Bob? Give me a shout
Happy
out.
birthday, meanwhile. You have my very best wishes. All right.
Bob has the day.
Continue to grow in wisdom, knowledge, stature. Please don't be distracted.
I was waiting for that line.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Well, he should not be distracted, right? Let's keep it at that.
Bob is perfect.
Always perfect.
At least for today. Have fun.
Good afternoon. This is the news update at 4. Federal government of Nigeria reels out program for independence anniversary celebration. The federal government accuses presidential candidate of PDP, Atiku Abubakar, of economic blueprint theft. ASU says court order is against declaration of war against lecturers. Police begins documentation of successful candidates in ongoing 9th regular course intake. The Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel declares tomorrow, Friday 23rd, as work-free day in celebration of state anniversary. On the foreign scene, Burkina Faso soldiers jailed over 1990 student leader murder. In sport, Manchester United report 115.5 million euro loss for 2021 and 2022 season. And that's the news update for these hour. I am Dara Udoma.